Going to take this literal equation, r plus 5 over mn is equal to p, and I'm going to solve it for m, but I'm going to do it two different ways. I'm going to take the same equation and solve it two different ways using two different methods. So we are solving for m. I want to get the m by itself. To do that, in this first method, I'm going to move the n to the right side, and then I'm going to move the r plus 5 to the right side. So to move that n to the right side, you need to multiply each side by n. If you take r plus 5 over mn and multiply it by n, the n's will cancel diagonally. So you'd be left with r plus 5 over m on the left side, and then whatever you do to the left, you have to do to the right. So multiply that by n as well, and we end up with np on the right side. Now we have r plus 5 over m is equal to np. We need to move that r plus 5 to the right side. It's in the numerator right now, so if you divide each side by r plus 5, so if you divided r plus 5 over m by r plus 5, you would be left with 1 over m. Whatever you do to the left, you have to do to the right. So if you divide the left side by r plus 5, you also have to divide the right by r plus 5. So you get np over r plus 5 on the right side. Now we have 1 over m equals np over r plus 5, but we want m. We don't want 1 over m. Now there is a button on your calculator. It may be symbolized as x to the negative 1 button or 1 over x button, depending on which calculator you have. What that button does on your calculator is it flips a number over. For example, if you type 2 into your calculator and hit that 1 over x or that x to the negative 1, depending on what calculator you have and how it works, that will flip that 2 over and it'll show up as 0.5. So for this, we're going to use that same mindset. We're going to flip this left side over, and whatever we do to the left side, we have to do to the right side. So if you flip this left side over, it'll just become m. And if you do that to the left, you have to do it to the right, so it would be m equals r plus 5 over np, flipping both sides over. Now a different way to do it, second method here, same equation, we're going to solve for m. We want to get m by itself. What I'm going to do here is move the m to the right side and then move the p away from it. So to move that m to the right side, I'll multiply both sides by m. On the left side, if you multiply that by m, the m's will cancel diagonally. Be left with r plus 5 over n. And whatever you do to the left, you have to do to the right. So if you multiply the left by m, we have to multiply the right by m as well. That becomes mp on the right side. Now we're going to move that p away from the m. So we're going to move that p from the right side over to the left side. It's m times p right now. So to move that p, divide each side by p. If you divide mp by p, that will just be m. And if you divide the left side by p, that becomes r plus 5 over np. Notice, same answer, two different ways to do it. Going to look at how the ACT test will ask a question relating to these literal equations. Each student's project in a history seminar is given a point score by the teacher and by each of the other students in the seminar. A student's project grade G is determined by the formula G equals 3t plus s over 3 plus n, where t is the score the teacher gives, S is the sum of the scores the students give, and N is the number of students in the seminar. What is T in terms of G, S, and N? So typical ACT question, they throw a lot at you. You have to zone in, figure out exactly what's being asked, and that is usually towards the end. What is T in terms of G, S, and N? So we're going to take that equation that's given to you, G equals 3t plus S over 3 plus N, and when it says what is T in terms of G, S, and N, that simply means you're taking that equation and solving it for t. So to do that, we need to move everything away from the t. Move that 3 plus n to the left side. It's dividing by 3 plus n right now, so multiply each side by 3 plus n. On the left, you would have g times the quantity 3 plus n. And on the right, if you multiplied by 3 plus n, those would cancel, and you'd be left with 3t plus s. We want to get t by itself. So we need to move the s to the left side. To move that s to the left side, subtract s from each side. You have g times the quantity 3 plus n minus s is now equal to 3t. And finally, we need to get the 3 away from the t by dividing each side by 3. So if you divide the left side all by 3, we have g times 3 plus n minus s all over 3 is now equal to t. So you're feeling pretty confident, feeling pretty good about yourself. You seem to do everything correct, then you go over here to match it up with one of these answers, and it's not showing up, and you start to panic. Don't panic. Go back to it. Is there any way you can take your final answer there and manipulate it, move it around to match one of these answers? So first thing you may want to try is the distributive property with that g. Distributive property with the g makes that 3g plus gn minus s all over 3. That's equal to t, and that matches up with answer K.